Hello, beautiful souls. Happy first full moon of the lunar year to you. My name is Masami Covey. I'm a health intuitive, functional nutritional therapist, and a moon enthusiast. I lead women in rediscovering the wisdom of living with the lunar cycles during and beyond menopause. And if you are interested in lunar cycles, learning about moon wisdom and how the moon impacts various organs, systems, hormones, and even fascia, please consider subscribing to this channel. I'll be putting videos out there throughout the year to support you on this journey as we embrace the lunar cycles. This full moon is known as the snow moon, or also storm moon, ice moon, and these are Celtic and Old English names for this particular full moon. And some North American tribes call it the hungry moon due to the scarce food supply during midwinter. Another name is called the bear moon, referring to when bear cubs are born. Before we go more into this full moon, let's talk about the powerful twin solar flares from Wednesday, February 21st and Thursday, February 22nd. Two powerful outbursts from the sun occurred, and as a result, widespread cell phone outages were reported throughout the U.S. on Thursday. And some of you might have experienced it, especially if you have the AT&T coverage on your cell phone. And the sun's activity is currently increasing, and it's going to continue to increase this year as it approaches the most active part of its 11-year solar cycle, known as the solar maximum. And this means that we may see more space weather events such as communication blackouts and threats to spacecraft in orbit. And these twin solar flares definitely are impacting you right now and all of us, especially leading up to the full moon in Virgo. And if you have been feeling emotional, I mean really emotional, you are not alone. There's been a huge buildup of charged emotions and increased sensitivity leading up to this full moon. And these tensions reveal deeper patterns and behaviors of all of us. So if you have experienced heated exchanges or engaged in really tough arguments, or simply burst into a full-on cry and meltdown like I went through, be kind to yourself. And also acknowledge that the person you had a big fight with was also being influenced by the solar flares and the energy of the full moon. Don't forget that the full moon's impact on our own moods and emotions as well. As you add the light to the moon, heading to the full moon, studies have shown that we can get overly emotional and experience mood swings. And this is a fact. This is really studied. And in fact, that psychiatric admissions peak leading up to the full moon. And there are other hormonal changes, such as estrogen production and oxytocin levels, that impact our overall health, especially heading to the full moon. Not to mention increased sleep disturbances. So I do believe that these two solar flares really fueled some of our own reactions and emotions in the past week, even leading up to the solar flares. And these events coincided with the energy built up towards the full moon. So pause for a moment, put your hands to your heart center for a moment and assess some of your charged reactions and responses over the last week or so. This is why I love following the moon cycles, because it can give me some sense of what is impacting my life and be more compassionate toward myself and others. Now, let's look at this full moon in Virgo from a physiological standpoint. And this time, I'm intuitively connecting to a particular pressure point to help us with both the solar flares and the full moon. The point I'm introducing today is for the full moon period, starting this Saturday into Monday. And it's influenced by the solar flares and the start of the year of the dragon. So think about it. How could that potent cosmic energy of both solar flares and the start of this really powerful, fast-moving year of the dragon not influence the expression of this full moon, right? And by the way, I will put the link to the year of the dragon call I did on February 10th. And thank you so much for all of you that commented and emailed me personally and expressed your gratitude for me doing that call, but how important that call was for you. So thank you so much. I so appreciated that. And if you missed the call, be sure to check out the link below. So let's get into this point. First, with this full moon, do your very best to drop down to your heart center more and also explore the power of your five senses. And as many of you have been following my work, know that five senses cultivate the power of your chakras, right? And the point that I wanted to mention today. So let's look at that now. The point is kidney 25. So you can see it on the picture here. This point is also called Shinzo in Japanese. So you can see the Chinese characters there. In Japan, we share the Chinese characters as well. So it's in Japanese, but it's also in Chinese as well. And this point is between the second and third ribs. The space is called the intercostal space. And I will show it to you on my body as well, but take a look at this picture a little bit more. And when you find that spot, you will sense the indentations there. So on my body, imagine that sternum here, and I brought some yoga straps here, or I'll use one here. But imagine this is the sternum line. So this is my center line. And your collarbones right here, clavicle bones, run about like right there. And underneath your collarbones, that's where your first ribs are. Okay. And then if you slide down, you'll go into the intercostal space of the first and the second. And if you slide down a little bit more, you will find your second ribs. Then if you slide down one more down, then it's between the second and the third ribs. And how you want to find it from the center line is from the center line, you go outward and you'll find a little dip or the indentation. And it's usually about from the center line, about 1, 2, and a little bit over edge of that 2 thumbs width outward on both sides. So center line, 2 thumbs, 1, go out 1, 2. And then you'll find a little dip. And you can also go down the sternum, find your second and third ribs right in between, and then go out. Then you'll find a little area that there's a little dip, okay? Creates kind of a holding space there. And don't worry about being too precise or anything. You're rubbing around that area and you'll feel like a sense of, oh yeah, I can feel that little dip, indentations, but also you might feel dullness there, achiness. Some people feel pretty sharp pain right in that spot. If you feel sharp pain, don't press it too hard. You can press for 3 seconds and release, 3 seconds and release, or you can rub in circling motions or side to side, okay? Don't need to be crazy precise because we're not needling those areas. So this is a kidney point, right? Kidney 25. And a kidney point starts at the bottom of the feet. That's the K1 point and travels all the way up to this area. In the meantime, it's like accumulating and collecting a lot of wisdom and knowledge that can be expressed through this area. And that's also the fourth chakra center as well. And this Shinzo point, the K kidney 25 point, means the container of the mind, heart, consciousness, and the divine. So the word Shen, or the first word Xing or Shen, means the divine. Or sometimes this point is called the spirit storehouse. I really like that word, spirit storehouse. It's a container because of the rib cage. And also inside that container or the storehouse, you find your heart. And by the way, heart in Japanese is the same as the mind. We don't distinguish the differences between a heart and a mind. When you speak of the mind, we're also thinking of the heart. And when you speak of the heart, we're also thinking of the mind. So the heart can generate kind of this knowledge and knowing also. And I love working on kidney 25 point because it can impact not only the heart, but your mind, especially calming your busy mind. This point is a chamber or a kind of a room for your consciousness and the divine essence. Think of this point as a reservoir or nourishment for your spirit. And you want to tap into this point when you feel depleted, fatigued, charged, lacking in will or drive, or determination to carry on. When I see clients that are depleted, it may not always be about chronic fatigue syndrome or adrenal dysregulation, also known as adrenal fatigue, or burnout. And also, your depletion is not just about getting or receiving more nameable diagnoses and illnesses by going to doctor's office. And certainly, it's not about you doing more to tap into your willpower. You may be simply drained or spent, and you have truly exhausted your spiritual and spirit reservoir and the spiritual reserves. So, if you have been diagnosed with CFS, that's the chronic fatigue syndrome, or even burnout, adrenal conditions, and even like hypothyroid or mental fatigue, brain fog, and so many other modern ailments that accompany this depleted state, attending to this point, kidney 25, this point can be so important in reawakening your spirit storehouse. When you are needing to call on the inner divine, especially during challenging times that we're in right now, on the personal and collective levels, tap into this point. With so much conflict and suffering around the globe, our collective spirit storehouse is quite depleted. You can probably imagine that, and you can probably feel that in you. So please attend to this point, not just for yourself, but for the collective field as well. And this point, this Shinzo point in Japanese and kidney 25 point, is also great for insomnia. So it's great for leading up to the full moon. It's always a little tough, to sleep as the light gets added to the moon. And it's actually not about the light, but the gravitational fields that really impacts our pineal gland. But, this is the time that if you're having sleep issues, insomnia, this point is great for that. Frustration, maybe deep-seated anger, charged emotions, mood swings, cough, like persistent cough. It could be phlegmy or it could be dry cough as well. Asthma, chest pain, dry eyes, dark spots on your face, like maybe sun damaged spots as well. And also lymph flow, you can imagine by working in this right in this spot can be a wonderful way to drain some of the puffiness that's under eyes or maybe the neck into the throat area, the facial puffiness. This can be a great way to drain that as well. Well, I hope this point will bring some lightness to your heart center and to the collective field as well. May you continue to refill your container that holds your spirit, your consciousness, your mind, your heart, and your divine essence. And I will speak to you soon, and really take care of yourself and others around you throughout the weekend on to Monday, because you're definitely going to be feeling this full moon energy. And please subscribe to my channel if this kind of videos are really helping you in navigating the moon cycles as well as your life. Namaste.